everybody. We are starting our last class of puppy kindergarten. This is week 6 and it has to be done in a public place, so I've taken me and my puppy to the Publix down the road. We're going to start when we first get out of the car with the paw pad, and we're going to put it down and run her through her paces so that she can have a little help focusing on what she knows, because if I just get her out of the car right now, she's not going to be listening to me. She's going to be looking around at everything else. Even though we're not really close to the Publix, I'll show you how far we are. That's how far we are. But we still need to, we need to be in the shade for one thing. We don't want to be where it's super hot, and we don't want to be where there's a lot of distractions, because just changing the venue by itself is enough distraction to make it really difficult for her. So this way, this is how we're going to make it easier for her. She's still in the car with Will. Okay, put the paw pad down, go get the puppy. Okay, here's Cayman. So the first thing we'll do, get her up on the paw pad. Yes! Good girl. Because this is a new place for her, yes, my expectations are a little lower. I don't necessarily expect that she'll do every command the first time I give it. Yes. I don't know that she will necessarily stay on the paw pad when I move, so I'm going to reduce my expectations just a little. Yes. Good girl. She got off. We're just going to go back and reset. Come on. Let's go. I'm going to see if she can figure it out. Yes, good girl. So it's like her attention goes somewhere else, then she's like, oh yeah, paw pad. Yes, good girl. That's why we have to make the paw pad so powerful, because yes, it's very helpful to her out here to have something that is very important to her. Yes. Good girl. Good job. All right, we're going to try some commands. Come and sit. Try again. I'm going to collar cue her back into position. Yes. Good girl. We'll try that again. Come in. Sit. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Yes. If she gets up, I'm just going to try to lure her back into a sit while she eats the treat. Yes. Good girl. She usually doesn't get up this much, so I'm going to chalk it up to new environment, and she's excited. In a new environment, they don't have as much attentional resources available, so it's not as easy for them to concentrate on a task because their attention's going everywhere else. So in my kitchen, I have 90% of her attention, or maybe 95%. Out here, I've got like 20% of her attention, or maybe less. Cayman, sit. Yes. Good girl. Yes. Increasing my rate of reinforcement, reducing my expectation for duration. Yes. Good girl. Yes. Really, you want to make sure that your puppy is not on a hot surface. She is not. Try down. I'm going to do a fake lure for down. So I touch the treat bag, aim it down. Yes. I'm going to stay bent down while I treat her. Yes. Well, my legs won't hold out anymore, so I have to stand up. Do another down. Hey, came in, down. Try again. Came in. Go. Yes. Girl. She doesn't really care for down. She is not a dog that likes to go down. So I may have to use an actual lure here to get her to go down. First I'm going to do timeout, because she sat without being told to. Now we'll do it down. know she's off her paw pad, but this is not the time to be picky about that. Yes, girl. Cayman, stand. Yes, good girl. Good, Cayman. Cayman, sit. Yes. Same thing, her foot's off the paw pad, but I'm not going to worry that much about it, although I am going to see if she'll put it back on if I wait her out. If she doesn't, I'm just going to reset the whole thing. Come on, Cayman. The reason I did that is because, yes, I did not want her to think that what I wanted was an uncued change of position. I know, dropped it. Good girl. Good girl. I'm going to lure her into a down from a stand. Give it down. Yes, good. Cayman, sit. Yes. Girl. Cayman, stand. Yes. Good girl. And I know that her front foot was not on the paw pad when she sat, but this is also the time when exact foot placement came and sit. Yes. Becomes a little less important because, remember, we're not going to be using the paw pad forever. The paw pad is a tool to get a good position and to help her concentrate. Cayman, down. Yes. Good girl. Yes. 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 She struggles with duration and down, so yes. It's taken me a long time to stand up. Cayman, stand. Yes, good. So this is the point where I probably say, okay, she's had enough obedience and we're going to move closer to the store. But because there's no unshaded store over here, we're actually going to have to get in the car, drive to the other side of the store, and set up over there. So we're going to stop this video for now and start again in a second. But I'll show you the whole process of getting from car to store. Let's go. Alright, so now we move the car. We're going to walk up closer to the store, but I'm going to hand tether her when I need to. Lots of distractions on the ground, cigarette butts, bulbs, everything they like. So I'll hand tether when I need to. Right there. Yes! Good girl. Okay, let's go, Cayman. Yes! Good girl. Nice job, Cayman. Let's go. Yes. Bad yes, because she put her head down right as I said yes. It's okay. I'm going to move very carefully here because the ground is littered with everything they like. Ready? Let's go. Yes. Good girl. Train her back by my side when she gets out of position. Yes. Good girl. Let's go. Yes. Good. Good girl. Let's go, Cayman. Yes. Nice. Good girl. Let's go. Yes. Good girl. Let's go. Yes. Good girl. There you go. Ready? Let's go. Yes. Good. Alright, I'm going to set up the paw pad right there so you can put the camera like that. Right? Yes. Good girl. Okay. She maybe a little closer. Thank you. Yes. So we're going to do the same things here that we just did over there. We'll run through the obedience again. Cayman, sit. Yes. Good girl. Yes. I don't care that she gets up after I say yes. I also don't care that her paw is off the paw pad. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Cayman, down. Yes. Good girl. That was a fake lure. Yes. Still not standing all the way up, because if I did, she would pop up. Yes. Work in progress. Cayman, stand. Yes. Very nice. Good girl. Cayman, Sit. Yes. Good girl. We'll be back. Don't worry.
I hope so.
Oh, we will. Cayman, sit. Cayman. Choked on her treat there. That's why she didn't sit. Cayman, sit. Yes. Good girl. That was a delayed sit, but there's a lot going on. And like I said, attentional resources she does not have a lot of right now because her attention's kind of everywhere else. So, Cayman, sit. Yes. Good job. Springs in her butt. Yes. Good girl. Ready? Cayman. Down. Yes. Good job. So at this point, she's probably ready to, I would do a timeout now, but I'm talking to the camera, so I can't. She's probably ready to do some obedience without the paw pad. So I'm going to take it away and see if I still get good responses. Look at her, she's running through every command, every position she knows, trying to get me to treat her. I am doing a timeout after all. Let's go. Not a real one because I'm still talking, but. Cayman, down. Waiting her out to see if she'll go down. Cayman, down. Cayman, down. I do not think it's the worst thing in the world if you have to repeat a command again, especially in a setting like this where there's a lot going on. Cayman, down. And if she doesn't go down, then maybe she just can't go down right now for whatever reason, and I will restart her with a lure and then we'll go from there. Cayman, down. Good girl. Yes. Then I'll switch to marking for duration. Yes. Good girl. Cayman, stand. Yes. Good girl. We'll try a fake lure. Cayman, down. Okay. All right. So, paw pad up here. I might fall on her head. Okay, color cues for sit and down. When we're teaching the color cues for sit and down, we do not want to use the words sit or down, just because we want the puppy to respond to the color cue alone, not the words. We want to be able to communicate to the puppy that yielding to pressure gets you marked and rewarded, and for that reason, we don't want to make it muddy by using the verbal cue, or by using a hand signal, or by using a lure, any of those things. We only want the puppy to be responding to collar pressure. So for getting them into a sit, just pressure straight up in the air, and for getting them into a down, it's pressure straight down. We have not done these collar cues before, Let me just warm her up though with a reminder of color cue games, just to make sure she's ready to go. So I'll give her one forward. Yes, girl. Give her one backward. That wasn't a very good one. We'll try another one. Yes, good girl. Forward. Yes, good. And towards my leg. Yes. Away from me. Yes, good girl. Now we're going to try sit. Straight up. Yes, good. You want to yes as soon as their butt starts to go down, even if it doesn't go all the way down. And now we're going to try down. Straight down pressure. She does not like this at all. Whoa, she's having a really extreme reaction. Okay, so in this case, even though, yes, we do want her to respond to the collar cue down, but she actually vocalized. She actually whined. She was concerned enough that she actually made a noise. So I'm not going to keep doing that because that's counterproductive for this puppy in this situation. She's actually fearful, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to try to do is teach her that a collar cue down just means follow my hand to the ground, and then I will switch to collar cue. So yeah, even though I just said we don't want to do that, we don't want to do that except when we have to do it to make it clear to the dog. Also, except when we're doing this in public and there's people watching and would not like to see a puppy being that scared. And I don't like to see it either. She doesn't understand, so I'm going to put it in a term that she understands. All right, so I'm first going to lure her just to the ground a couple times. Good girl. Good job. Now we'll go back up. Actually, I'll collar cue her into a sit because that didn't seem to bother her. So we'll go. Yes, good girl. And we'll lure her back into a down. Good girl. Good. Collar cue her back up into a sit. Yes. She totally understands that. She just doesn't like down for whatever reason. I'm going to get her closer to me here. Yes. Good. So this time I'm going to apply the collar cue, and then I'm going to bring her head down right away with the lure. So the collar cue is going to predict the lure and show her what I want her to do. Collar cue down, hand goes down. Alright, let's try again. Collar cue down, hand goes down. Let's try again. Collar cue down. Good girl! Good job! What a good girl! What a good girl! Collar cue up into sit. Yes. Good. Let's try this again. So very light collar cue down, followed by a lure. Good girl. Good girl. I'm actually going to sit on the floor because this asphalt is rough on my knees. Up into a sit. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. I'm going to do one more time with the lure because her reaction was pretty extreme, so it's not going to hurt me to do a couple extra lures here. Good girl. Good job. Good girl. Okay, man. Sit. Yes. Try it again. I've actually never had a puppy do this, not once. She's the only one I've ever had. Okay, so that just means she needs more luring. The collar cue. Good girl. Good girl. Good job. She's not super happy about being in the down position anyway, and she never has been, but I've never seen this much resistance. So clearly to her, even though she understands every other collar cue, she does not understand this collar cue. Good girl. Good girl. Just trying to relax her, get her to trust me again. Good girl. Good job. Yes, good girl. Sit, no problem at all. Girl. Let's see if she'll do fake lure and collar cue down. Yes, good girl. There you go. Good job. Good Cayman. Stand. Yes, good. I don't care so much about her position right now, just because obviously we have bigger fish to fry than just her position. Okay, let's try from a stand with or sit, either one. Yes. Such nice collar cue for every other position. So I'll do collar cue down followed by a fake lure. Nope, she is not having it. Sit. Good girl. So anytime a puppy's doing something like this, we are not just going to continue doing something that's obviously traumatic for them. We're going to stop here, and I'm going to go home, do it at home, figure out why she had this reaction to it, and figure out how to communicate to her what I expect, because for whatever reason she just is not understanding it. And typically we increase the pressure until they respond to it, but the point is not to increase the pressure until the puppy's flailing around and terrified. That means you have to find another strategy. So that's what we're going to do, and I will keep you posted. Don't worry about that. So next thing we're going to do is move on to harness on. But let me just say before we start harness on, the introduction of the coat, that you guys who are finishing puppy K, you will get your coat when your AC is able to meet with you out in public in a location like this and review your puppy's skills and make sure that they are ready for the coat. Just because they have finished puppy K does not necessarily mean they're ready for the coat, although they usually are. Our expectations as far as readiness for the coat would be that the puppy is able to concentrate on you at least somewhat, if not perfectly, in an environment where there's a lot of things going on. And this puppy did fine today. She is ready for a coat. Doesn't mean that we are going to take her everywhere right away. Good girl. It's going to be a long time before we take this puppy shopping. For example, I don't take my puppies actually shopping where I need to buy stuff, usually till they're about 8 months old. I'm not going to take her in the store tonight because I don't have my mask, so I'm not going in. But if I did take her in tonight, it would probably just be into the entryway, and there I would do some basic obedience and paw pad and make sure she could handle that before I tried walking her loose leash down the aisles or anything like that. You always want to go slowly rather than quickly and not go any faster than your puppy can handle. If in doubt, then go slower. You can always add more stuff later, but you can't take stuff away if you've introduced it too quickly and scared the puppy. Which I don't think is a problem with the collar cue. I think she has some other lack of confidence with going down and being pulled down for whatever reason. Right, Cayman? You ready for something new? Good girl. So, she has not had the harness on, the collar or the coat on before. The command for putting the coat on will be harness on, although we're not going to. I'm not going to introduce it to her yet because I personally like them to be moving into the coat on their own before I add the word harness on. Some people say from day one, and their puppies also learn to put the coat on. Fine. I just don't like to do it that way. I'd rather have her already doing it before I give the name to the behavior. But when we first put it on, we're going to use a lure to get their head through. And there's a few things you have to be aware of when you're putting the coat on. So let me go get the coat. Actually, let me get her later. Okay, and that one. Here, Kim. Girl, sit.
Do you know if that one's gone for sure?
Yeah. Okay.
Tell me.
Right now. All right, we're back for round 2 of week 6. What happened last night was that my camera just stopped recording and I don't know the reason. So I missed all of the coat introduction and the body handling. Also, we have more collar cues to work on today because in yesterday's session, which you guys just saw a few minutes ago, she did not have a good reaction to the down collar cue at all. In fact, she had the worst one I've ever seen as long as I've been doing this. So I thought there's probably a couple of reasons why she might have done that. One could be that she wasn't really comfortable laying down in a place that she wasn't familiar with. Some dogs aren't because it kind of makes them vulnerable or puts them in a vulnerable position, so maybe that was part of it. It could be that with the down collar cue, maybe she was reacting to the feeling of the collar against the back of her neck pulling her down, and she didn't like that because, yes, she just did it right now though, so that was good. But she may not have liked that because it didn't feel like the rest of her collar cues didn't come from the same place on her neck. So it could have been one of those things, it could have been none of those things. Really didn't matter, but I did think that I was not going to be able to progress with her yesterday. So I took her home and we worked on it in the more familiar environment of my house, and we did a lot better. So this is not Publix, it's just a little kind of strip mall by my house, but it is a new environment to her with lots of good things on the ground she would like to eat. So I'm going to try what we did for the collar cue for down and see if it works. First, I'm going to cue her into heel position. Yes, good girl. Try not to hit your puppy in the face with the leash. That's never good. Okay, and then I'm going to... It stopped? Okay. That's so strange.
Don't know what happened. I was doing fine.
Can you just make sure that the other one's still recording?
Yeah.
It says record. Sorry, I want to take no chances on this. My camera just stopped recording and I don't know why. So we're going to go with the other camera. I brought two this time. Okay, so when I took her home last night, what I tried doing was a little softer down collar cue followed by a lure. And she was responding to that pretty well. What I wanted her to learn was that the downward collar cue predicted the appearance of the lure, which predicted her treat. So then I switched from the lure to the hand signal and verbal, preceded by the collar cue. And that went pretty smoothly. Then I just switched to collar cue alone. And at my house, she is responding to that pretty well. I do not know what she's going to do out here. But I'll say that if she doesn't go all the way down on the first collar cue, if she even starts making a little progress toward the ground, I'm going to be happy and mark and reward that. Sometimes you have to reward what's called in dog training a successive approximation of what you want. So if it's not exactly what you want, you reward a step in that direction. So here we go. I'm going to try a collar cue straight down. And actually, I'm going to be conservative here. I'm going to try a collar cue down and then the hand signal down, just to kind of jump start her a little. Okay, coming down. Yes, good girl! That was a million times better than yesterday. I'm so happy, especially because this is a strange place, so I wasn't necessarily expecting the best response. A strange place with a lot of stuff on the floor, by the way. Collar cue her back up into sit. Yes, good girl! Good job! What a good puppy. Good girl. I'm actually going to collar cue her forward so that she's closer to me. When she stops chewing, I will. Okay. Yes, good. Catch that butt. Good girl, Caitlin. That is taking you a long time to chew that treat. I have some slightly more valuable treats mixed in there. Milk Bone Minis, which are very low calorie, a little bit crunchier treats. Collar cue into a sit. Yes, good. Good girl. Trying to find one that's not one of those. Save the better treats for the collar cue down. So here we're going to go into a down again. Whoops, let's sit first. And we'll try it down. Something caught her attention. I don't know what. I'm going to put her back in the heel position. Yes. Good girl. I have the paw pad just in case I need it, but I don't think I'm going to need it. Good girl. Okay, now we'll try her it down. Yes, good girl. I don't care that she popped up. That does not matter. Good girl. As long as she's down when I said yes, that's all that matters. Get her back up into a sit. Good girl! I'm not going to treat her for that. For one, because she responds to it 100% of the time, so I'm going to say that she knows it. For another, because I want to save the treats for her response to down, which is harder. Alright, we'll go down again. Yes, good girl. Good job, Cayman. What a good girl. What a good girl. Sit again. Girl. And we'll go back into a down again. Yes, good girl. Good job, Cayman. What a good girl. And that is where I'm going to stop with this exercise, because one of my biggest flaws as a dog trainer is trying to go further. So instead of accepting that color cue down, which was a perfectly acceptable response to it, I want to get one that's faster. I want to get one that looks like her sit. But the problem is when you do that, sometimes you go a little too far, and then they don't want to do it, and then she might like brace and pull back like this, and then I'm kind of stuck. It's always better to leave them on one that was good and then pick up on it again the next time you do this exercise. She will be going down perfectly in response to leash collar cues down very soon. I'd say by tomorrow she'll probably be so good that you will never be able to tell that she had a problem. So I hope this was kind of interesting for people watching. For 95% of you or more, this is not going to be your puppy. Like I said, this was the only puppy that I've ever seen have that response to a down collar cue. And most of our puppies go down just like the ones in the video, and it is not that difficult. So if you do have a problem like that, then please let your AC or your RM know, and we can work on it with you. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is introduce the coat. Even though you guys aren't doing this in this class, I want to show you what it looks like for when you do it with either your AC or your puppy kindergarten teacher or whoever it is that's in charge of giving out coats. Once we have the all clear to be out in public again, then you'll set that up. So when we introduce the coat, first of all, just because they can legally go anywhere that the public can go when they wear this coat, that doesn't mean it's always the right thing to take them there. In fact, it's more often better to not take them to places when they're this age than it is to take them. If you're taking them out in public, you should be taking them with the understanding that you're there to train the puppy and to expose the puppy to a new environment, and not to do your shopping or go and have fun or go watch a movie or go get an ice cream. When you take the puppy out in coat for the first couple months, it really should be all about the puppy. If you're not prepared to make it all about the puppy, then the puppy should stay home. Okay, so when we introduce the coat to the puppy, let me get this paw pad out of my way. Okay. This puppy, in the interest of full disclosure, she has had the coat on once before, and that was in last night's video that didn't record. So this is not the first time she's had the coat on, it's the second time. When you're introducing the coat to the puppy, we don't want to make a super big deal out of it. If you hang the coat over the puppy's head and they're like, look at this, look at this. Sometimes they'll back away like, what is that thing hanging over my head? I'm not too sure. Another way you can make the puppy not have a great reaction to the coat is if when you go to put it on, this piece here bumps them in the face. So I always tell people when you're putting on the coat, take this piece, the belly strap, fold it up and over the back of the coat, and hold it there with your thumb and the finger of your left hand. Now, another thing is that you don't really want the leash flopping around in the puppy's face when you're putting on the coat, Because if you're trying to put it on like this, and like look at all that stuff hanging in her face, she's not going to want to put her head through at all. So to avoid that, I will either, hey, get out of there. Kevin, good girl. I will either loop the leash around my wrist like I did here, that way she can't get away, or if I was standing up, then I would ground tether her, because anything that prevents the leash from hanging in her face like this is good. All right, we're gonna lure her into the coat the first time, but I almost want her to not really see the coat coming, because if she sees the coat coming, she has a chance to back away from it. I'd rather her just be thinking about moving forward to follow my hand. So what I'm gonna do, I got a treat in my hand, holding the coat like this, so that it's open, has a nice, easy approach for her. I'm gonna put my right hand through the coat like this, up to her nose, and then I'm going to move her forward. She's tired. I'm gonna move her forward with a lure till her head goes through the coat. Good girl! And then once it's on, I'm gonna buckle it. Good girl, Cayman. What a good girl. Now, once it's on, you will always have to do this. You'll always have to pull the leash out from under the front, the chest strap of the coat. It's going to get stuck under there every single time you put the coat on, unless you put the coat on in your house without the leash on. So that's part of it. Now, when your puppy is wearing the coat, it's normal for them to turn around and like sniff at it or maybe scratch at it. That reaction should go away pretty quick. But what I like to do is I like to stand up and get them walking, and then mark and reward them for a loose leash as soon as I can, so that my puppy's not sitting there thinking, what is this thing on my back? I'd rather have them thinking, oh good, she's rewarded me. So I'm going to stand up. Good girl, Cayman. This coat is huge on her. It's a little ridiculous. All right, Cayman, let's go. Yes. So she took one step forward, and I marked and rewarded her for that. And then she kept going, so I put her back in heel position when I gave her the treat. Ready, Cayman? Let's go. Yes. Good girl. Good job, Cayman. We'll turn around and go the other way. Cayman, let's go. Yes. Good girl. And back again. Let's go. Yes. Good girl, Cayman. Very nice. Now, if this were a regular puppy kindergarten class, then we'd probably be doing this outside of Publix, and the class may or may not include us going inside of Publix. I just use Publix as the example. It could be Walgreens or any store, really. But I probably wouldn't take her much further than just into the entryway. So I let her watch people, let her look at shopping carts, maybe take out the paw pad and go into a corner and do a little bit of obedience on it. Anything that can help her focus while still giving her exposure. Remember, they haven't seen any of these things that they're going to see on their first trip out in public, so my expectations of her behavior are not super high the first time she goes out. I consider this an exposure, and that just means I want her to watch things and process them. And while she's watching them, if she does something I can mark and reward her for, I'm going to. So, like if she has a moment of loose leash, I might, yes, and give her a treat. Or let her chew this treat, and then I'll give you another example of something you could do. If I say, Cayman, yes, good girl. That's name response. So I can mark and reward her for responding to her name. She may not be able to do a full series of sit, down, stand, and all those on the paw pad. Good girl. But in this experience, I probably wouldn't want her to. Or I might, depending on the puppy, because every puppy's different. So the experience you'll have with your puppy will depend on your puppy's temperament, confidence, focus on you, a lot of other things. But one thing you can do as a handler is you can make sure that you're marking and rewarding your puppy for what you can. The most common things you can mark and reward for are just a second of standing on loose leash, or looking at you when they say their name, or when you say their name. Those things most puppies can do in most settings. So every time you can mark and reward the puppy for something, that's just telling them that you're still connected, and focusing on you is a good thing, even when a lot of stuff is going on in the world. So let me go back to harness on just briefly. When we have the older puppies harness on. That's the command that we use. And really to the puppy, it means put your head through this opening. Or that's what it will mean in time, because obviously this is not a harness. It's a coat or a vest or whatever you want to call it, but it is not a harness. But that is the command that trainers use with the adult dogs. They like to hold out the harness and have the dog go and put their head in on their own. So what we want it to look like, and consult your manual for a review of how to teach this at the middle school and high school levels. Right now we're at elementary, so we're luring them into the coat. But the leash around my wrist. So what we want it to look like is we want the puppy to initiate movement into the coat itself. What we don't want is this. Come in. Stand. Come in. Stand. She's too tired. I'm gonna give her a second and see if she does. I'm too tired too. I'm not standing either. Hey, come and stand. She's forgotten how to stand. Call her cuter to stand. Good girl. Okay, so what we don't want when we say harness on, she wants to sit. I'm just gonna let her. Is for, and this we see all the time, we say, harness on, good girl. Okay, that's just me putting the coat on her. She didn't do anything to walk into the coat herself. What we want is this, and we're using a lure right now, but remember when you have your older puppy, they're not going to be using a lure, of course. So what we want is puppy moving forward into the coat. Good girl, what a good girl. Good job. If you notice anything with your puppy shying away from the coat or not wanting to approach, then that would be something to talk to your area coordinator about. Okay, I think I've covered the coat. Oh, by the way, these little pockets here should always have more poop bags than you think you'll need ever. And I also put my ID card in here with the laws on it, just because that way I know it's always with the puppy. So if I need to show it, then I can, right? All right. Our last thing we're going to talk about today is body handling. And the exercises for week 6 are 3 different forms of restraint hold that we might do with our puppies. One kind of restraint hold is just if you take your puppy to the vet, most of the time your puppy is not going to stand perfectly still while the vet examines them. Most of the time you're going to have to hold them, or somebody's going to have to hold them. Not all puppies are comfortable with the idea of restraint, so we're going to teach them to be comfortable. We're going to do 3 different types of restraint holds here. First, we're going to do a standing restraint hold. This is the kind that we usually have you do on your walk and talk assessments. We're going to do a sitting restraint hold, the puppy between my knees, and we're going to do a laying down on the side restraint hold. That's kind of like the over that we just talked about in the meeting this weekend. So, actually I'm going to start with the laying down one because she's already laying down, so why not make my life easier? She does not know over. Let me get the leash here. So I'll try to get her into the over position like we did in the meeting. I don't like to teach this, I don't really want to teach this to a super young puppy until they're much better with down, because I don't want them to confuse the two, but we'll try it. So she's on a hip. So I'll bring her nose back and over. I don't think this is going to work because her position isn't good. She's up against the wall. My position isn't that great. Oh, there we go. It's not too bad. Let me try again. Try her down here. Good girl. I'm waiting for her to roll onto a hip. If she's not on a hip, then I can't. Do I need to move back further? Okay. Move back further. Move back further, says my cameraman. Okay. So I'll get her to a down. Good, she's on a hip now. So I'm going to try luring her back this way. Alright. I think this is going to be too hard for her right now, so I changed my mind. We'll go back to standing restraint. The standing restraint hold is just you with your knees facing the dog. If I was standing, I would have my knees facing her. I'm sitting and I'm not going to stand, so this is what I'll do instead. I'll put one arm under her belly. Good girl. Good girl. One across the front of her chest. I'll We'll just hug her to us like this. Good girl. She struggled a little bit. I'm going to wait for her to have 1 second of calm, then I'm going to mark and reward her. Yes, good girl. And as with all settling type exercises, some puppies do well with mark and reward and some do not. So if marking and rewarding gets your puppy too excited and gets them moving around, then you can try just calm, gentle praise as soon as they relax and letting them go when they relax. We'll try it again. Good girl. In front of her. Good girl. I think she's not super big fan of that. Good girl. Good job. Good girl, Cayman. Alright, so that's a standing restraint hold. One arm under the belly and the other arm across the front of her chest. And the next one we're going to do is a sitting restraint hold. And this calls for the puppy to be in close position. Obviously she doesn't know close, and I'm not going to try to lure her there. I'm just going to kind of put her there. Good girl. Then I'm going to pet her for a few seconds and get her relaxed. So this might be if the vet was drawing blood from her, then you might have to hold a leg and hold off a vein for them. Good girl. Good girl. Nice, Cayman. Or if they're looking in their ears, then you might have to hold their head still. I like to do a chin rest for that. I actually like to teach a chin rest. It's a very convenient behavior for them to know. So I'll keep my hand here under her chin and pull back an ear and pull back her other ear. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, so that's a sitting restraint. I'm going to try this one just one more time. Good job. Good girl. She's squirming a little bit, but not excessively. Alright. And for the laying down one, rather than trying to lure her into over, I'm just going to see if I can gently convince her to roll over just by putting gentle pressure on her side. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. I don't think she's super confident about down in an unfamiliar place, so this could very well be one that she resists, and if it is, then I will just know I need to work on it more at home. So let's see. Good girl. Good Cayman. You're such a nice girl. She does not look relaxed. I don't know if you can see her ears, but they're up, and she's listening to traffic sounds and wind sounds and who knows what else. Let me see if I can if I push her gently, will she? Good girl. That's a good girl. I am not going to mark this because that would make her more excited. Let's see if I can get her down. Good girl. Good. So the goal for that, I don't need to talk too much about it because I talked about it enough this weekend with Over. If you haven't seen that video, you can go watch that. But what we want is for them to lay still on their side while they have some kind of restraint, which obviously we're not doing today because she's in a mouthy and activated state of mind, and that would be counterproductive. But what we want them to do is learn to lay still while they're gently restrained, maybe with a hand on a hip or a hand on a shoulder or a hand on the neck. We want them to learn to accept that and not struggle against it. And those are the body handling exercises we want you to continue to practice throughout your time with the puppy. This has been a great puppy kindergarten. Cayman and I have really enjoyed it. And we wish you and your puppies all the best. And we are looking forward to the day when we can all meet in person again. Thank you for all your hard work with your puppies.